But the Asian longhorn beetle, there's no controls for it. There's no controls for it. And aphis, that's kind of the insect disease component of the USDA Forest Service, when they find that Asian longhorn beetle is in town, so to speak, they come and they cut a quadrant, like I don't know if it's a half mile or a mile, but a quadrant of all those species I just mentioned. And we have no choice on public and private property, and they do that to control it so it's not going to kill all the trees in Indiana or in whatever state it's in. Currently, Asian longhorn beetle is right next door to Greendale, Lawrenceburg, Rising Sun, Aurora areas in southeastern Indiana.
I'm sorry to interrupt. So, won't a policy like that keep people from reporting that they have spotted this on their property?
Oh yeah, it does. It does. But some will eventually report it because this bug is very large and very pretty and very noticeable. So in Chicago, when they did this, Chicago got the bug. They cut the trees all down, mature trees in this neighborhood in Chicago, and I saw it when they were doing the cut. And then I went back about 10 years later after more trees had been planted and everything and growing back up. And it was startling for the residents. They had like memorial services and just all that stuff going on. So that's why it's going to behoove you, and in the executive summary that I'm going to give the park board, I list trees to avoid planting in the town so that you can avoid Asian longhorn beetle and, you know, hopefully not have to deal with that. The forest health specialist, Phil Marshall, for the Department of Natural Resources, feels like we're not going to have any choice about this Asian longhorn beetle. And the thing is, with the maple, that's the curse of the maple. The blessing of the maple is that we're going to look at the energy conservation and the air quality cleaning and the carbon storage and the stormwater interception. It's your maples doing that for you the most because they're big. They're big trees, especially the silver maple has the kind of rough bark. They just really pick up the pollution and the stormwater, all of that really, really well. So that's the blessing and the curse of your species makeup. And of course, big trees rule. You have, of the tree count that I mentioned, 493 broadleaf deciduous trees, okay? You have 23 medium-sized, 493 were the large trees, so that's really good for you all. 23 medium-size and 70 of the small, and then 7 conifer species. So your size class is pretty good because in New Harmony, big trees rule, and you shouldn't be having a lot of problems with stormwater interception based upon what these trees are doing for you in certain locations. So, we know we need to have diversity of species. What about the age diversity? What you have with your age diversity is you have kind of an even age balance. You don't have a lot of young trees. You have a lot of maturing and older trees. So what might that tell you? You need to start planting. You need to fill those vacant tree spaces. You need more young trees, okay? You need more young trees and less of the old trees so that you always have a continuum of the tree benefits that we've been talking about. So that this is the age of your tree species, like your sugar maple, your silver maple, your red maple. You have a lot of young red maple. And then just mid-range on your sugar and silver. And then here, I think, this this is tulip or hackberry, I can't really tell up here, but you have a lot of those young ones. So you have some young ones coming up, but not enough. The age of the urban forest, this is what you have overall for the age of your urban forest. You're peaking here at mid-age, and then that's going to start going down. And look where you are at your young. That should be up there. And I think I have an ideal age balance picture. We saw some interesting things. We saw where staking material ropes had been left on the trees. And remember, I talked trees eat things. They'll just kind of grow over those types of things. And the snake skin was hanging in a tree, which was a pretty cool thing to see. So we took some pictures of the snake skin. Yeah. I think someone hung it there. I talked to one of the DNR guys who's in wildlife, and I said, what kind of snake is this? And I think he might have said corn snake. You know, I don't know my snakes. And he said, but I think someone hung it there. Because he said that particular snake has a nasty bite on it, has a nasty attitude. Not poison, but just a nasty attitude snake. So the ideal age balance is a lot young, going down into the mid-range and down into the older range. But you always want more young to keep a continuum of those benefits going. And we're going to talk about some of those benefits in a moment. Probably the major thing that trees do for us, in my mind anyway, is they clean the air we breathe and the water we drink. That's what they do best. So the leaves and branches intercept and store that rainfall. The tree canopy reduces erosion. If you think about rain coming down real hard, if there's nothing there to catch it, it's going to hit that soil. And when it hits that soil, it's going to pick up junk in the soil, and it's going to roll over the concrete, roll over the pavement, drop into your water, and as it's been rolling, it's been picking up all kinds of junk. Well, trees take care of that. They intercept and store a lot of that, and they slow it down enough so that they actually can clean our water. So we're looking at a tree at 700 Church Street. I just pulled a tree up off your inventory, and the tree at 700 Church Street reduces carbon by 271 pounds, and it intercepts 7,358 gallons of stormwater every year, as long as it's kept healthy. Every year. This isn't the life of the tree, this is every year. And so at this point you might be thinking, all right, where'd she get this crap? Okay. This is research done by the Forest Service and by universities, and what they did is they separated the United States into climate zones, and we're in the lower Midwest and the upper Midwest climate zones according to what they call stratum. And then they went and they inventoried specific tree species in those climate zones. And then they looked at those trees, and they have ways of looking what's inside those trees, how much carbon they're storing, you know, how much air they're cleaning, and all of that stuff. And I have formulas and paperwork and the research. If you want to see that, I'll share it with you. But what they found was, like the maple tree or the tree at Church Street we were talking about, isn't going to provide that same service up in Maine because the climate's different. So we now have information for trees and what they do, very specific to each state. And I took $20,000 and gave the Forest Service to actually do the research for Indiana, because as state coordinator, I got really tired of telling people, oh, well, the trees out in California do this, so we can assume ours do this. So now we know in Indiana what Indiana trees are doing for us, just based on all of that research. Canopy cover. The things I've been talking about, the water quality, the air quality, the energy conservation, the economics, aesthetics, the stormwater interception, all of that is dependent on the canopy cover. It's the canopy cover that drives all of these benefits. So the larger the tree, the denser the canopy, the more benefits you're going to get from them. And you guys are doing okay in canopy cover. You have overall about 24% canopy cover over your streets and sidewalks. And that's where you want it, over the streets and the sidewalks. We just did, for Indiana, urban tree canopy analysis, and I think I brought, yes I did. I did bring some maps, and it actually shows in our analysis, you can look and find where your county is, and you can see if your county is lacking in canopy or if it has enough canopy. Now, American Forests recommends, along with the Forest Service, and it's the standard that we've adopted in Indiana, for canopy in a town to be 40%. And then that's broken down into like 50% suburban, or 50%, yeah, suburban, 40% or 35% like the downtown areas, and then 10 or 15% in your industrial, commercial, more areas like that. And so when we do these inventories and when we ask communities, you need to look at your canopy and set some canopy goals. You know, if you don't think it's realistic to be at a 40% canopy goal, then make it 30 or 35, but set a canopy goal. But your canopy, you guys are doing much better than what I had thought. You have 12.5% total canopy cover. We looked at over 320 acres with over 45% over streets and sidewalks. That's really good. You got 45% canopy over your streets and sidewalks. But what do you have on private property? 85% of the urban forest is on private land in our own backyards. So it becomes really important to educate the private landowners that their trees not only provide a service for them, but for the entire community, a significant service. So that canopy is very, very important. Now let's look at the dollar benefits that you get. And how did they get the dollar benefits? Well, what they did is, once again, they figured utility cost, the price of a kilowatt, the price of a therm for our particular region. And what we got was 11.98% of your tree population is in energy conservation. You have 3.89% in CO2 storage. And you think, but we have so many large trees. But your large trees are maturing, and they're not moving as fast now, okay? They're not working as hard to take in all of those pollutants. So, you know, that's probably why that number is a little lower. And then look at stormwater. That's huge. That's a huge chunk for you guys. And then aesthetics and other. People come to your town, one thing they remember is the trees of New Harmony. It's a very pretty green leafy town, and I got to tell you, a lot of the towns I go to, they're not pretty green and leafy, and they're saying, help, give me some money so we can make them pretty green and leafy. The gross benefits for your urban forest just along the city streets is at $36,823. Okay, these costs, those are avoided costs for the community that you're not paying because of the trees that you have. The net, once we deducted the maintenance costs and we had the community fill out a special sheet on what you are spending on trees, then that brings your net value to $28,563 for your urban forest every year.